I'm Jen, single mom, artist, and entrepreneur. This is my journey to building life by my design. Come along while Jen juggles it. Hi friends, I wanted to talk to you a little today about how to go from surviving to thriving, especially for those of us who are single moms. That is such a difficult transition, and there's a couple of steps, 4 specifically if you ask me, that are super duper important to getting there. So let's jump right in. Number 1, set a budget. I know everyone harps about setting a budget. Like, it's the number 1 thing you see in every video that you watch that talks about surviving and thriving, right? Well, there's a reason for that, because it's so incredibly important. Every successful business in the world has a budget that they operate from. Nobody that is successful is doing it by the seat of their pants with no idea what kind of money they have coming in versus what they have going out. Every single company, every government, every entity in the world that is successful has a budget, and you should too. So that means making a list of all of the money you have coming in and all of the money you have going out. Your housing, utilities, transportation, any loans or credit card debt. And don't forget to include car insurance, homeowners insurance, rental insurance, food, clothing, and the most important one of all is savings. And I know that it can be really difficult to save, especially as a single parent. But even if it's $10 a week that you set aside, putting aside something into savings is critical, because eventually something is going to come up that's an unexpected expense, or even an expected expense, but that you didn't plan ahead for. And now all of a sudden you're going to be stuck in a bind, or you're going to be taking out a loan or putting it on a credit card and digging yourself further into debt just to try and handle that thing, whatever it is, whether it's you pop a tire and they're worn enough that you have to replace 2 instead of just the one that's popped. And now you've got $400 going out just to have new tires on your car. And that's not even all of them. Unexpected expenses will come up. It is a question of when, not if. And you need to be as prepared for those as possible. They say that most adults in the United States are 1 paycheck away from homelessness. And that is absolutely terrifying. And it should be. Having savings could be the thing that keeps that from happening. Number 2, take stock of your assets. Now, when I say this, I don't mean the way most people mean. So usually when somebody talks about taking stock of your assets versus liabilities, they're talking about your house, your car versus your credit cards and any loans, things like that. That's not the kind of assets and liabilities that I am talking about. I mean, take stock of the things you have going for you and the things you have working against you, because only by identifying those things can you make a real solid plan for moving forward. So if you have friends and family who love your kids and are happy to step in and babysit absolutely anytime you want, that is a giant asset that not everybody has. If you have a car that is going to need tires in the next 6 months, that's a liability, because eventually that's something you're going to have to take care of. So those are the things I'm talking about. So as best you can, make a list of all the things that you're expecting to have to deal with that are going to be negative, have a negative impact on your life. And then make a list of all of the things that have super positive impact on your life. Once you know what the great things you have going for you are, it makes it so much easier to evaluate opportunities. So for instance, if you have an opportunity, say you make a craft and you have an opportunity to go sell that craft at a 3-day weekend event, but you can't take your 2 toddlers with you, but your mom or your dad or your best friend is absolutely willing to watch those toddlers for those 3 days so that you can go make bank at that event. That's a giant asset, and that's a really helpful way to know whether or not you can evaluate whether you can do that opportunity or not. The same goes with other jobs or side hustle potentials. You can't properly evaluate them without knowing exactly where you stand in all areas of your life. Number 3, schedule, schedule, schedule. And I mean everything. I have found that if I don't have a very specific accounting of the things that I need to get done in a given day, then I don't get hardly anything done. It's so much harder to fly by the seat of your pants because we get distracted. There's so much going on around us. It's so easy to come home from your job and make dinner, and then the kids want you to play a game with them, or there's a TV show on that you get sucked into, or the telephone rings and it's your best friend that you want to chat with. It's just so easy to forget the things that you really wanted to accomplish if you haven't written them down ahead of time and planned to do them and planned to accomplish them. It's way easy when you're at work to say, oh, well, tonight I'm gonna write that blog post that I need to write. But if you don't set a plan for how that's gonna happen and where you're gonna fit it into your evening, then you're not gonna fit it in. You're just not gonna do it. Now, when I say schedule, I'm specifically meaning all of those things that add value to your work life or your home life, either one. So, for instance, I have 3 businesses. So when I say I need to schedule all of my social media things for those 3 businesses. I need to schedule all of my marketing. I need to schedule when I'm actually working in those businesses. I need to schedule website updates and phone calls and all of the things that go into working those 3 businesses, I put on my schedule. However, I absolutely add personal things into that schedule too. For instance, I know that I need to, at least twice a month, go spend time with friends and get out of the house and get away from work. Even though the things that I do for work inspire me and drive me, I still need to step away from them, and I need to go spend time with friends, and I need to cut loose, and I need to focus on me. And I make a goal of doing that at least twice a month. Sometimes those are things like going out to dinner with those friends. Sometimes it's as simple as inviting 2 or 3 girlfriends over for a couple of hours and everybody brings a bottle of wine and we just hang out and talk. It doesn't have to cost money, it doesn't have to be expensive, but I need time with my girlfriends. That matters. So I have to put that into my schedule. I have to build it in, or I won't do it because I won't make time for it later. I have to schedule it ahead of time. Early on, I would also schedule in when I was going to do laundry and dishes, and when I was gonna vacuum, and when I was gonna make beds or change sheets. I don't have to do that now because it's been a while. It's been a while since my divorce. So I've had a few years at this whole figuring out how to get it all done thing. So I don't have to schedule in those little tasks anymore because they kind of just come automatically now. But they didn't used to. Things as simple as packing lunches the night before. I used to put it on my list to make sure I would do it as the last thing I did before I went to bed at night. And loading the dishwasher and starting the dishwasher before I go to bed every night. Those are simple little things, but they're a giant time saver in the morning. They make my mornings less chaotic. They make me feel more put together and less rushed. So those things matter. And if you need to put them on your schedule to make sure you will do them initially, then by all means, do it. Eventually, those start to become kind of second nature. It's just part of your routine, and now you don't have to write it down anymore. The last thing, step number 4, which is probably the most important thing, is to make time for you. And that can look like whatever you need it to look like. It can mean taking time to journal every single day, even if it's just for 3 or 4 minutes. It can mean reading 1 chapter of a book before you go to bed. It can mean making yourself that cup of coffee that you cherish in the morning. Anything that makes you feel more like you matters, and you need to make time to do it. Meditation is a big one. Exercise is a giant one. I hate to exercise. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. Making myself get started exercising is such a giant chore, but I know I'm gonna feel amazing afterwards. But if I don't put it on my schedule, I won't do it. It's terrible. I know that that matters, and I know that I need to do it, but sometimes I'll put it off anyway. In the last 12 months, one of my giant goals has been to prioritize that me time. And I've got about 5 different things that I make sure I do. Not all of them happen every single day, and that's okay, but they happen more days than they don't, and that matters. Making time for yourself is probably the most important thing ever, because it makes you a better mom, it makes you a better human, it makes you more connected to the people in your life, it makes you more connected to yourself. It just makes all the difference in the world to how we show up in the world and how we show up for our families and for ourselves. So taking care of you is the most important thing of this whole list. Well, I don't know, maybe number 1 is probably the most. That budget thing, I know people harp on it, but man, it is so freaking important. Anyway, those are my tips. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that this was valuable. If you like this content, please comment below. Let me know that this is helpful to you and that you need more of this, and I will make sure that this is a big piece of what I start doing. Thank you so much. Have a great day.